The text message arrived at 2:47 a.m. Translate these. You have 3 hours. Get one word wrong and someone dies. Amara stared at the Korean characters glowing on her screen, her hands trembling. She'd been translating corporate documents for 6 months, never questioning why a tech CEO needed confidential files decoded at ungodly hours, never asking why the pay was triple the market rate. But tonight, attached to the message was a photo. A man bound to a chair, blood trickling from his temple, terror in his eyes. Tonight, she realized her client wasn't who he claimed to be. And the most dangerous part? When she'd met him in person last week, looked into those cold, calculating eyes, felt his hand linger a moment too long on hers during their handshake, something inside her had sparked to life for the first time in years. She was falling for a monster, and he was about to pull her into a world where one mistranslation could mean death. Before we dive into this dangerous love story, if you're here for forbidden romance, impossible choices, and a woman who discovers her worth in the darkest places, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me if you'd risk everything for love, and subscribe so you never miss these intense stories. Now, let's begin. Amara Chin Robinson checked her inbox for the 15th time that hour. Freelance translation work was feast or famine, and this month had been a drought. Her studio apartment in Seattle's International District felt smaller every day, the walls closing in with each unpaid bill, each rejection email. Then it appeared. Subject line, confidential Korean English translation, premium rate. The email was professional, brief. A tech company expanding into American markets needed someone fluent in both Korean and English, someone discreet, someone available for rush jobs. The pay, $200 per page. Amara's usual rate was $50. She should have been suspicious. Should have asked questions. But when you're a 29-year-old black woman with a useless degree in East Asian studies, drowning in student debt, working 3-gig jobs just to keep the lights on, you don't look gift horses in the mouth. She replied within 5 minutes. The first documents arrived that night. Corporate contracts, investment portfolios, personnel files. All in Korean. All marked strictly confidential. Amara translated them flawlessly, her years studying in Seoul finally paying off. She'd gone there at 22, fell in love with the language, the culture, the food. Fell in love with a Korean man too, until his family made it clear that a black woman would never be acceptable. She'd returned to America with perfect Korean and a broken heart, convinced she'd never belong anywhere. The client, listed only as J.H. Kim CEO, was pleased. More work came. Then more. Within 2 months, Amara was making more money than she'd ever seen. She quit her other jobs. Bought groceries without checking her account balance first. Slept without anxiety crushing her chest. She told herself not to wonder why a tech CEO needed documents about territory disputes and family loyalty oaths translated. Told herself the strange phrases "clean the mess," "handle the situation permanently" were just cultural idioms she didn't understand. Denial, she'd learn, was its own kind of paralysis. The email came on a Tuesday, in-person meeting required. Saturday, 2 p.m. Obscura Cafe. Come alone. Amara's stomach twisted. In 6 months, everything had been digital. Emails, encrypted files, wire transfers to her account. No names, no faces, no questions. She almost declined. But then she saw the attachment, a contract. Long-term position, $15,000 monthly retainer, full benefits. The kind of money that could change her life, pay off her debt, let her breathe. Saturday arrived with rain. Obscura Cafe was in Capitol Hill, all exposed brick and low lighting. Amara arrived early, wearing her best thrift store blazer, her natural hair pulled into a professional bun. She ordered a coffee she was too nervous to drink. At exactly 2 p.m., the door opened. He was nothing like she'd imagined. Late 30s, maybe 40, wearing a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than her car. Tall for a Korean man, with sharp features and eyes that assessed everything in microseconds. His hair was styled back, a single silver streak at his temple. When he moved, people unconsciously shifted out of his way. He spotted her immediately. Of course he did. She was the only black woman in the cafe. Miss Robinson. His English was perfect, barely accented. He slid into the chair across from her with the fluid grace of a predator. I'm Jin Hyuk Kim. Thank you for meeting me. Up close, he was devastating. Not conventionally handsome, but magnetic. Dangerous. The kind of man your mother warns you about. Mr. Kim. Amara's voice was steadier than she felt. Your email mentioned a long-term contract? Direct. I appreciate that. A slight smile touched his lips, not reaching his eyes. Your work has been exceptional. Accurate, discreet, timely. These qualities are rare. I take my work seriously. I've noticed. He leaned back, studying her with unsettling intensity. Tell me, Miss Robinson, what do you think my company does? The question hung between them like a blade. Amara's mind raced. This was a test. Wrong answer, and the golden goose dies. Tech expansion into American markets, she said carefully. That's what your initial email stated. And you believe that? Those dark eyes pinned her. A woman with your intelligence, your attention to detail? You believed every document about territory disputes and loyalty enforcement was about technology. Amara's throat went dry. I believed it wasn't my place to ask questions. Silence. Jin Hyuk's expression was unreadable. Then, slowly, he smiled. A real smile this time, and it transformed his entire face. Perfect answer. He slid a folder across the table. The truth, Miss Robinson, is that I run an organization that operates in gray areas. Import-export, mostly. Some of our business partners are traditional, old-fashioned family structures. You understand. Mafia. He was saying mafia without saying it. I understand. Your translations have been invaluable during sensitive negotiations. You've helped prevent misunderstandings that could have turned violent. He paused. You've saved lives, Miss Robinson. Whether you knew it or not. Amara's hands clenched in her lap. She should run. Should report this to someone. Should do literally anything except what she did next. The contract, she heard herself say. Jin Hyuk's smile widened. Inside the folder, along with a non-disclosure agreement and a generous signing bonus. $25,000 deposited upon your signature. $25,000. Enough to pay off half her student loans. Enough to finally get ahead. There's one additional requirement. Jin Hyuk leaned forward. Occasional in-person interpretation. Business dinners, meetings. Situations where nuance matters. Where I need someone I can trust completely. Trust? Amara couldn't help the bitter laugh. You don't even know me. Don't I? His gaze intensified. You're Amara Chin Robinson, 29, only child. Your mother is black, father was Chinese American, passed when you were 12. You studied at Yonsei University in Seoul for 2 years, graduated summa cum laude. You've been rejected from 47 jobs in your field because they wanted someone who fit their company culture better. His voice hardened on those last words. You're brilliant, overlooked, and tired of being invisible. Am I wrong? Amara couldn't breathe. He'd investigated her. Thoroughly. And somehow, hearing her struggle acknowledged, hearing someone see what the world had done to her, cracked something open inside. You're not wrong, she whispered. I see you, Miss Robinson. Jin Hyuk's hand moved across the table, stopping just short of touching hers. In my world, loyalty and skill matter. Not skin color. Not gender. Not who your family is. Just what you can do and whether you can be trusted. It was everything she'd wanted to hear. It should have terrified her. Instead, Amara felt something she hadn't felt in years. Wanted. She picked up the pen. Where do I sign? The first business dinner was at Altura, one of Seattle's most exclusive restaurants. Amara arrived in a black dress she'd splurged on with her signing bonus, feeling like an imposter among the designer-clad crowd. Jin Hyuk was already there, in another perfect suit, this one midnight blue. When he saw her, something flickered in his eyes. Appreciation. Hunger. Gone before she could be sure. "You look professional," he said, his voice lower than usual. "That's the goal, isn't it?" Amara tried to ignore how her pulse quickened when he placed his hand on the small of her back, guiding her to a private room. Inside, 3 Korean men in expensive suits sat waiting. The air went tense when they saw Amara. One of them spoke rapidly in Korean. "You brought an outsider? A foreigner? To discuss family business?" Jin Hyuk's response was ice. "Miss Robinson works for me. She has signed the appropriate agreements. And her skills are essential tonight. Unless you want another misunderstanding like Tokyo." Amara understood every word, but kept her face neutral. Rule 1. Never reveal how much you understand until necessary. The meeting was about a shipping dispute. Containers that had gone missing, accusations of theft, threats of retaliation. As Amara translated, she began to grasp the delicate dance. Jin Hyuk wasn't just a crime boss. He was a negotiator, a strategist, someone who preferred words over bloodshed. But he was fully capable of bloodshed. That much was clear in every measured threat, every carefully chosen phrase. "Tell him," Jin Hyuk said quietly, "that I value our long relationship. But if he cannot guarantee my shipment's safety, I will be forced to find new partners. The kind who ensure safety through less diplomatic means." Amara translated. The older man across the table paled slightly. Agreement was reached within minutes. As they left the restaurant, Jin Hyuk's hand found her back again. "You were excellent. You didn't just translate words. You captured tone intent. That's rare. I studied interpretation specifically." Amara was hyper-aware of his touch, his proximity. Context matters as much as vocabulary. "Have dinner with me." The words came suddenly. No business. Just dinner. Amara stopped walking. "That's not professional." "No," Jin Hyuk agreed, turning to face her. The streetlight cast shadows across his face, made him look both dangerous and vulnerable. "It's not. But I'm asking anyway." "Why?" "Because you're the first person in a decade who looks at me and sees a man, not a title. Not a monster." His jaw tightened. "Because when you concentrate on translations, you bite your lower lip. Because you put 3 sugars in your coffee but pretend you don't. Because you're brilliant and lonely, and I recognize that because I am too." Amara's breath caught. This was insane. He was a criminal. She was crossing lines that couldn't be uncrossed. One dinner, she heard herself say, "No business." His smile was like sunrise. "Tomorrow. I'll pick you up at 7. The problem with falling for someone dangerous is you never see the cliff until you're already over it. Dinner turned into dinners. Business meetings turned into late-night phone calls. Jin Hyuk was intoxicating, brilliant, cultured, surprisingly funny. He spoke 5 languages, had a degree in economics from Seoul National University, quoted poetry in Korean that made Amara's heart ache. He was also ruthless. She learned this gradually, through fragments. A competitor who disappeared after threatening Jin Hyuk's territory. A warehouse fire that solved a dispute. The way men's hands trembled when they shook his. "Do you ever regret it?" Amara asked one night, 6 weeks into whatever they were doing. They were in his penthouse overlooking Elliott Bay, expensive wine between them, the city lights sparkling below. This life. Jin Hyuk was quiet for a long moment. Every day. And never. That's a contradiction. Is it? He turned to face her, and in the dim light, she saw grief in his eyes. "I didn't choose this. I inherited it. My father built the organization. When he died, I was 23, barely finished university. It was take over or watch everything collapse. Watch everyone who depended on us lose their livelihoods. Or worse. You could have walked away. Could I?" His laugh was bitter. This world doesn't let you walk away, Amara. You're in or you're dead. There's no retirement plan. It was the first time he'd used her first name. The intimacy of it made her shiver. But you stay for other reasons too, she said softly. The power. The control. Yes. He didn't deny it. I'm not a good man pretending to be bad. I've made peace with what I am. He moved closer. Does that terrify you? It should. God, it should. Yes, Amara whispered. But not enough. Jin Hyuk's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. You deserve better than me. That's for me to decide. When he kissed her, it felt like falling and flying at once. Like every warning bell in her head was screaming, but her body was singing. His hands tangled in her hair, gentle despite the hunger in the kiss. Amara, he breathed against her lips. If you stay with me, there's no going back. My enemies will see you as leverage. My allies will question me. Your life will never be simple again. My life was never simple. She pulled him back to her. Maybe I'm tired of simple. Maybe I want real. That night, they crossed every line. And Amara told herself she didn't care about the consequences. She was wrong. The text came at 2:47 a.m., 3 months into their relationship. Translate these. You have 3 hours. Get one word wrong and someone dies. Amara jolted awake, reaching for her phone. The attached photo loaded slowly, and when it did, her blood turned to ice. A man bound to a chair. Blood. Terror. But that wasn't what made her hands shake. She recognized the room. Jin Hyuk's warehouse in Sodo. The documents were different this time. Not business contracts or shipping manifests. These were confessions. Detailed admissions of betrayal, stolen funds, cooperation with federal investigators. Her phone rang. Jin Hyuk's number. I'm sorry. His voice was rough, tired. I didn't want you involved in this part. But my usual translator was compromised. I need accuracy, and I need it now. Jin Hyuk, what is this? Justice. Or revenge. Depending on your perspective. A pause. This man stole from us. Worse, he gave information to the FBI that got 3 of my people killed. One of them had a wife and 2 kids. Amara stared at the photo. And if I translate this? He'll sign the confession. Face consequences from his own organization. Quick death instead of slow torture. Jin Hyuk's voice hardened. He made his choice. Now he lives with the cost. And if I refuse? Silence. Then I'll find another translator. But it will take time. And that man will suffer for hours instead of minutes. Your choice, Amara. Clean death or prolonged agony. It wasn't a choice at all. It was a test. A line he was asking her to cross. Amara looked at her reflection in the dark window. Who is she becoming? But she thought of the wife and 2 kids. Of the people Jin Hyuk employed, fed, protected. Of the complicated web where sometimes justice wore a monster's face. She opened her laptop and began to translate. 3 hours later, she sent the final document. Her hands were shaking. She'd just helped orchestrate a man's death. Her phone rang again. Thank you. Jin Hyuk's voice was gentle now. I know what this cost you. Do you? Amara's voice broke. Do you know what you're turning me into? I'm not turning you into anything you're not willing to become. A pause. But I understand if this is too much. If you want to walk away, I'll let you. No threats, no consequences. You have my word. Amara closed her eyes. She could walk away. Go back to struggling, to being invisible, to safety and poverty and loneliness. Or she could stay. In the dark. With him. Where at least she was seen. I'm not walking away, she whispered. Then come to me. Let me hold you. Let me, his voice cracked. Let me pretend I'm not the monster who just asked this of you. Amara grabbed her keys. The problem started at her college roommate's wedding. Amara had RSVP'd months ago, before Jin Hyuk, before her life had turned into something unrecognizable. She almost canceled. But Jin Hyuk encouraged her to go. You need normal, he'd said, kissing her forehead. You need to remember you are outside of my world. The wedding was beautiful. Her old friends were there, people she'd barely spoken to in months. They asked about her life, her work. Amara gave vague answers about corporate translation. Then Rachel, her former roommate, pulled her aside. Oh my God, I totally forgot to tell you. Remember how we used to watch K-dramas and you'd translate the parts the subtitles got wrong? Yeah. Amara's stomach tightened with foreboding. Well, my cousin works for the FBI, Asian Organized Crime Division. They're always looking for Korean translators for investigations. I told him about you. Rachel beamed. He wants to meet. Could be an amazing opportunity. The room tilted. Rachel, I can't. Why not? The pay is incredible, federal benefits. It's perfect for you. Rachel squeezed her arm. He's here actually. Let me introduce you. Before Amara could protest, she was face to face with Agent Marcus Chin. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, carrying himself with the confidence of someone who always caught his target. Miss Robinson. Rachel speaks highly of your skills. His handshake was firm. We have a significant need for Korean translators in ongoing investigations. Would you be interested in consulting? Amara's mouth went dry. What kind of investigations? I can't discuss specifics, but we're building cases against several Korean organized crime syndicates operating in the Pacific Northwest. His eyes narrowed slightly, assessing. These organizations prey on immigrant communities, engage in human trafficking, drug distribution. Taking them down would save lives. Human trafficking. Jin Hyuk had told her his organization didn't touch that. Drugs were necessary evils, but never children, never trafficking. She'd believed him. Had she been naive? I'm very busy with my current clients, Amara managed. Of course. Here's my card. Agent Chin handed it over. Think about it. Your country needs people like you. People who understand both worlds. People who can help protect the vulnerable. The vulnerable. Like the man in the warehouse, who'd stolen and gotten people killed. Or like the wives and children Jin Hyuk's organization supported. Amara took the card. Thank you. I'll consider it. That night, she lay in Jin Hyuk's arms, the card burning a hole in her purse. You're quiet, he murmured, fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. Do you traffic people? The question came out sharper than intended. Jin Hyuk went still. Then he sat up, turning on the lamp. His face was serious, no deflection. No, never. That's a line I will not cross. His jaw tightened. I won't pretend my organization is clean. We move goods that governments don't want moved. We operate outside the law. But we have rules. No children. No human trafficking. No targeting civilians. But other families do. Yes. He didn't lie. And I do business with some of them. That makes me complicit, doesn't it? Amara sat up, pulling the sheet around her. An FBI agent asked me to work for them today. Translating for investigations into Korean organized crime. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Jin Hyuk's face became the mask he wore in business meetings, unreadable, dangerous. I see. He gave me his card. And I'm telling you about it. Amara met his eyes. Because despite everything, despite what you are, I'm choosing you. But I need to know, am I choosing a necessary evil or just evil? Jin Hyuk was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood, pulling on his pants, and walked to the window. The city lights painted him in shadows and gold. My father was a street-level enforcer when I was born. He clawed his way up through violence and cunning. Built an empire on fear. His voice was distant. When he was dying, he told me the family was a snake eating itself. That we'd destroyed more Korean lives than we'd protected. He turned back to her. So I've spent 10 years trying to reshape it. Cut ties with the worst families. Invested in legitimate businesses. Used our resources to help immigrant communities the government ignores. It's slow. It's incomplete. But it's real. That doesn't make you a hero. No, he agreed. But maybe it makes me less of a monster than I could be. He came back to the bed, kneeling in front of her. Amara, if you work for the FBI, we're done. Not because I'd hurt you, I wouldn't, but because I can't be with someone who's my enemy. And if I stay with you, I become the FBI's enemy. Yes. It was the stark honesty she'd always gotten from him. No lies, no sugarcoating. Just impossible choices. Amara took Agent Chen's card from her purse. Held it up. Then slowly, deliberately, she tore it in half. I choose you, she said. God help me, I choose you. Jin Hyuk's eyes closed briefly, relief flooding his features. You're sure? No. But I'm choosing anyway. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Amara's voice was muffled against his chest. But you're what I want. 2 months later, Amara understood why people say love makes you blind. She was at Jin Hyuk's office, the legitimate import-export building in Pioneer Square, dropping off lunch when she noticed the door to his private office was ajar. Voices inside. Speaking Korean. She should have knocked. Should have announced herself. But one name made her freeze. Agent Marcus Chin. The girl is perfect, a voice said. Not Jin Hyuk. His second-in-command, Min Soo. Young, naive, in love. She'll never suspect we're using her. And her FBI contact? Another voice. Handled. Chin thinks she rejected his offer because she's uninformed. He has no idea she's sleeping with Jin Hyuk. Min-soo laughed. When he finds out, he'll flip her easily. A black woman with no loyalty to Korean organizations? She'll cooperate to save herself. Amara's blood turned to ice. You're certain she doesn't know about the shipment? Jin Hyuk's voice. Cold, calculating. The voice he used for business, not for her. Positive. She translates what we give her. Sees what we show her. As far as she knows, we're the noble criminals. She has no idea about the fentanyl pipeline or the connections to Juarez. Fentanyl. The drug killing thousands. Jin Hyuk had sworn his organization didn't touch it. Good. Jin Hyuk sounded satisfied. Keep her close. If the FBI does approach her again, she's valuable as a double agent. If not, she's still useful. Her translations have saved us millions in misunderstandings. And if she finds out the truth? Min-soo asked. Silence. Then, she won't. She loves me. Love makes people stupid. Amara's hand flew to her mouth, suppressing a sob. She backed away from the door, her whole world shattering. It had all been a lie. The poetry, the vulnerability, the speeches about being less of a monster. He'd played her perfectly. Saw a lonely, desperate woman and turned her into an asset. She ran. Amara didn't go home. She went to the one place she'd avoided for years, her mother's house in Rainier Valley. Her mom took one look at her face and pulled her inside. Baby, what happened? Everything spilled out. The translation job, Jin Hyuk, the FBI agent, the overheard conversation. All of it. Her mother listened without judgment, just held her while she cried. What do I do? Amara finally asked. What does your gut say? Run. As far and fast as I can. Then run, baby. Her mother stroked her hair. But if you run, you give him all the power. All the story. You become the naive girl who got played. That's what I am. No. Her mother's voice was fierce. You're a brilliant woman who got lied to by someone she trusted. That's on him, not you. But what you do next, that defines you. Amara pulled back, wiping her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe Agent Chin was right. Maybe you are the person who understands both worlds. And maybe you can do more good than you think. The idea took root slowly. Then all at once, Amara pulled out her phone and scrolled through her deleted contacts. Found Agent Chen's number, which she'd saved before destroying his card. She took a deep breath and pressed call. Agent Chen? This is Amara Robinson. I think we need to talk. The FBI office was sterile, fluorescent lights casting everything in harsh clarity. Agent Chen sat across from Amara, a coffee between them, a recording device on the table. "Tell me everything," he said gently. So she did. The translation work, the gradual revelations, the relationship. Chin didn't interrupt, just took notes. "This is bigger than you realize," he said when she finished. Jin Hyuk Kim isn't just a local operator. He's connected to cartels in Mexico, triads in China, yakuza in Japan. We've been trying to penetrate his organization for years. And now you want me to wear a wire? Yes. Chin leaned forward. "I know this is dangerous. I know you have feelings for him. But Miss Robinson, his organization moves enough fentanyl to kill thousands. The legitimate businesses you think he runs? They're fronts for money laundering on a massive scale. He told me he was trying to change things." "Did he?" Chen's voice was kind. "Or did he tell you what you needed to hear so you'd help him?" The question burned. Because Amara didn't know anymore. "What do you need from me?" "His office has a private server. We need you to plug in this USB drive during one of your visits. It'll copy files for 10 minutes, then auto-erase. He'll never know." Chin slid a small drive across the table. "We'll have agents nearby. The moment you get the files and leave safely, we'll move in. Arrest him and his top people. You'll be protected, relocated if necessary." Amara picked up the drive. It was so small. Such a tiny thing to end everything. Will he go to prison? For the rest of his life. Maybe federal death penalty, depending on what we find. Death penalty. Jin Hyuk, executed. The man who'd made her feel seen, wanted, alive. The man who'd lied to her face. When? Friday. His office party. Everyone will be distracted. Amara nodded slowly. "I'll do it." Friday came too fast and too slow. Amara wore the red dress Jin Hyuk loved, the USB drive hidden in her clutch. Her hands hadn't stopped shaking all day. The office party was elegant, champagne, catered food, string quartet. Jin Hyuk's legitimate business celebrating a successful quarter. He worked the room effortlessly, the perfect CEO, and when he saw Amara, his face lit up. "You came." He kissed her cheek, and she hated how her body still responded. "Of course. I have something for you." He pulled out a small box. "I was going to wait, but—" Jin Hyuk, "Don't." But he opened it anyway. Inside, a key. "To my penthouse. I want you to move in." His eyes were soft, vulnerable. The mask completely down. "I love you, Amara. I know I'm not easy. I know my world is complicated. But you make me want to be better. You make me want to try." Either he was the world's best actor, or she'd misunderstood everything in that office conversation. "I need to use the restroom," she managed. In the bathroom, Amara stared at herself in the mirror. The USB drive felt like a grenade in her purse. Agent Chen's voice echoed. His organization moves enough fentanyl to kill thousands. But so did Jin Hyuk's voice. "You make me want to be better." Which one was true? Her phone buzzed. Chin, status. Amara closed her eyes. Made her choice. She walked back out to the party, found Jin Hyuk, and pulled him aside into his office. "We need to talk. I overheard you and Minsu 2 months ago." Amara's voice was steady. "Talking about me. About using me. About fentanyl and cartels and letting me believe lies." Jin Hyuk's face went white. "Amara. And then today, the FBI asked me to plant a bug in your server. They want to arrest you. End you." She pulled out the USB drive. "This is what betrayal looks like." She set it on his desk. Jin Hyuk stared at it like it was a snake. Then at her. "Why are you telling me?" "Because I need to know the truth. Not your truth. Not the FBI's truth. The real truth." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "Did you ever love me? Or was I always just an asset?" Jin Hyuk moved toward her slowly, like approaching something precious and fragile. "That conversation you heard. Minsu was testing me." "What?" "He's been suspicious about us. About my feelings for you. In our world, love is weakness." Jin Hyuk's jaw tightened. "So I said what he needed to hear. What would keep you safe from people who'd use you against me?" "That's convenient." "It's the truth." He pulled out his phone, pressed a few buttons, and played an audio file. Amara's voice. Do you traffic people? Jin Hyuk's voice. No. Never. The entire conversation from that night. Then it switched. Minsu's voice. The girl is becoming a problem. She makes you weak. Jin Hyuk's voice. Then we handle it. She won't suspect. Minsu. How? Jin Hyuk. By making sure she hears exactly what she needs to hear to stay out of the dangerous parts. Even if it means she hears me lie about her. A long pause. Then Minsu, frustrated. You're protecting her. Jin Hyuk. Yes. And if you ever threaten her again, even by implication, I'll kill you myself. The recording ended. Amara couldn't breathe. You knew I was listening. I suspected. You have a tell. You hold your breath when you're eavesdropping. A sad smile. I've watched you translate intense meetings. I know your tells. But the fentanyl, the cartels, are real. But I'm not moving it. Jin Hyuk opened a hidden drawer in his desk, pulled out files. I'm documenting it. Every shipment, every connection. Building a case to hand to authorities. The same thing my father refused to do. He spread the files across the desk. Manifests, names, routes. Everything. I've been gathering this for 3 years. Since I took over and realized how deep the poison went. His voice was raw. I can't just walk away. They'd kill me and install someone worse. I can't go to the FBI. I'm too dirty to testify. So I've been doing this. Slowly dismantling it while documenting everything. Why not tell me? Because if anyone knew, you'd be a target. Dead within days. He cupped her face. There is no us, Amara. There can't be. His voice was agony. You deserve a life in the light. With someone who doesn't have blood on his hands. Someone who can give you everything I can't. What if I don't want someone else? Then you're a fool. But he was crying now too. A beautiful, brilliant fool who I love more than my own life. Amara grabbed his face, kissed him hard. Tasted salt and desperation and goodbye. I'm not planting the bug, she said against his lips. Amara. But I am turning you in. She pulled back. We're going to Agent Chin together. You're giving him everything voluntarily. And I'm testifying with you. Against the people who deserve it. You'll destroy your life. No. Amara smiled through tears. I'll finally start living it. On my terms. With the truth. The courtroom was packed for the sentencing. Amara sat in the gallery, hands folded in her lap, watching Jin Hyuk stand before the judge in Prison Orange. His testimony had brought down 14 major criminal organizations across 3 countries, freed 47 trafficking victims, prevented an estimated 200,000 fentanyl deaths. He'd also confessed to his own crimes. Money laundering, racketeering, conspiracy. Kim Jin Hyuk, the judge said. Your cooperation has been extraordinary. However, your crimes cannot be ignored. I hereby sentence you to 8 years in federal prison, with possibility of parole in 5. 8 years. Amara's heart clenched. Jin Hyuk's eyes found hers across the courtroom. He mouthed, I love you. She mouthed back, I'll wait. His face crumpled. Then he shook his head firmly. Don't wait. But Amara smiled. Because waiting wasn't giving up her life. It was choosing it. She'd spent the last 2 years building something real. Got a job with a victim advocacy organization, using her translation skills to help immigrants navigate the legal system. Testified before Congress about criminal justice reform. Started writing about her experiences, helping others see the gray areas where the world pretended only black and white existed. She was visible now. Finally. Fully. As herself. And in 5 years, when Jin Hyuk walked out of prison, she'd be there. Not as the naive girl who'd gotten played, but as the woman who'd chosen truth over safety, love over fear, herself over what the world said she should be. The guard led Jin Hyuk away. He looked back once, and Amara saw it, hope. Fragile and uncertain, but real. She stood up, smoothed her dress, and walked out of the courthouse into bright Seattle sunshine. Agent Chin was waiting outside. "You know he's not who you think he is," he said quietly. "No," Amara agreed. "He's exactly who I think he is. Complicated. Broken. Trying. Human." She looked at Chin. "Aren't we all?" She walked away, leaving the federal building behind. 5 years wasn't forever. And she'd spent too long being invisible to waste the rest of her life being anything but fully, gloriously, messily herself. Even if that meant loving a reformed criminal. Even if that meant waiting. Even if that meant choosing the hardest path. Because she'd learned something in those dark months. Love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about seeing someone's whole truth and choosing them anyway. Jin Hyuk had seen her. Had chosen her. Even when it cost him everything. She could wait 5 years. She would wait. And when he came home, they'd build something new. Something honest. Something real. Together. In the light. What would you do for love? Would you wait 5 years for someone who'd lied to protect you? Would you testify against the person you love if it meant saving others? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if this story moved you. Subscribe for more complex love stories where people aren't perfect, but their choices define them. Remember, being seen for who you truly are is worth every risk.